Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, 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 winter. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, 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 winter. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, 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 winter. Welcome.
What up? What up? How's everybody doing this morning? Some last minute fine tuning going on here. Alright, we are up. What up? What up? How's everybody doing? You guys have a good weekend? This is actually not a new mask. This was supposed to be cast cycle 2 or 3 mask, but it never came. It was late, so I've actually had this thing for years. Not the most comfortable one I got, that's for sure. What do you think about BTC Gold and DXR? Look at you with the 3-piece. You can get one symbol. Quite a move on the weekend in BTC and crypto in general, so definitely something worth taking a look at today. So you don't have to fling crypto at me. We're going to look at crypto first. Shout out Space Cash on some bits to start the morning. Alright, let's see. What the hell? This is the headline this morning. So we got 170 billion wiped off of cryptocurrency market in 24 hours. So as it hits a trillion, about a 17% pullback on the entire market space. So that is the headline after hitting BTC 40,000. What now? So we'll look at this much like we look at any other parabolic spike in markets from all-time highs, and keep it in context. Never let the large number itself that Bitcoin has reached, psychologically fuck with you. It's just a price. So we'll take a look at this. What do we got here? Wall Street analysts are cautiously optimistic in J&J's one-dose COVID vaccine. This is pretty interesting, right? How many different variants there are to the vaccine, let alone the virus itself, is, what is the big difference between Moderna, Pfizer, the difference in temperature, one dose, what's going on with Oxford University's version of it, China's version of it. Like, there are so many versions of the treatment, it's actually kind of fucking worrisome. So this is definitely going to cause more cause for concern that it keeps on being new versions, which will make it take longer for people to decide to want to take this shit. As it raises more and more questions, Speaking from just conversations with my own family members that are in the 70 plus category, age-wise, this is only like making it more confusing than it already was if there was just only one choice. So, that being said, what are we looking at here? Which BTC chart doesn't have a ton of shit on it? Let's see. So this is our projection. Hang on. Yeah, this is our bull flag we drew up, right? We drew up a bull flag for all these dudes. Here's where LTC winter was, December 17th, 2017. This was this huge, elongated structure, which still managed to really copying the arc of the gold fractal, albeit a little late because COVID created an anomaly in this that wasn't really in that structure, but it arced much like the gold fractal did. So I'm kind of keeping that in mind without saying it has to like steadfastly mirror it to the T. It already deviated once. We've seen that. I thought that projection wise on the gold fractal 30K was worth watching, so I kind of highlighted that. But as always, if you go higher, you follow structure, you can follow a trend as high as it goes. So now we've got our first like really meaningful correction since he blew out this level of the previous all-time high. So it's definitely worth noting, from the moment you break out All these structures are, in amplitude wise, really small compared to what's happened now. So if this is the big daddy of them, right? This is your biggest possible initial range. If this is not ultimately the correction itself, this is something you always want to pay attention to. You look at the arc itself from where it originates. I hope my audio is like not out while I'm talking and I don't know it. Let me just make sure. I'm saying a bunch of shit, nobody hears me, it's gonna be fucking wrecked. Okay, I don't see anybody saying I'm not there, right? Okay, good. Alright, so let's look at the old parabolic to LTC winter. So one thing you tend to notice, right, like if we look down here from the Shadow Strikes Back, that was an analysis by Nomics. In this arc, one thing you'll kind of note is the amplitude of correction is the largest when the greatest danger arises, right? Notice up here that, I guess I could just get, you can see it visually, from this parabolic, how much the pullback is. It's not much. This is one of the things in really big pumps that makes it psychologically difficult for people to participate, is that the amplitude of the pullback relative to the entire move is not really big enough to feel like you got a discount good enough to say, okay, now it's my turn. That's where the 50% pullbacks and things like that make sense, because a 50% pullback really amounts to getting 2 times for your money what the price had just indicated. So it's psychologically like getting something for nothing. That's why a lot of your infomercials try to sell you guys like something at the end of the commercial. If you call now, you'll get something, the same exact product again for the same price, because that's basically in essence a 50% retracement, right? It's getting 2 for 1. So the pullback itself is not massive in really strong pumps. When it does get like significantly bigger, like you see how much bigger this guy is, it generally creates larger systems, churns people up a lot more before it ultimately was able to leave that. In LTC winter, at the very climax of BTC, right, the correction is the biggest one you've seen, right? The amplitude is ridiculous compared to everything else going on here. And that's where the danger is, because the pullback is big enough for people who missed all of these to go, aha, my turn. And it has to be that deep to suck those people in. At this point, you see right here, you're coming off of like, in this wave, significantly more than the amplitudes of these, and this is what sucks people in and usually generates larger corrective systems. So we look back at like, going back here, you can see the same thing, right? The amplitude of the corrections, at least, within hindsight, when you look back from, this time moment, it will be the biggest you've seen, but the ultimate big correction will be the biggest correction of them all. This guy's amplitude, dwarfs everything that came before. So you thought these were big corrections until you saw how deep this correction could be. This correction is of such a size, right? It's a 50% retracement from 20,000, which gives people that psychological feeling that they're going to finally get in on BTC at a discount that is reasonable for them to say they got a piece of this at a good price. It mind fucks people, but this range, you want to see this, because at the end of a big arc, the big correction, it will be the biggest correction in the arc. So we see this here, and it's like, this is pretty big, but they're getting bigger, in amplitude as you go up. This one here actually looks like it could be it, right? This is the biggest one, and then it's eclipsed by an even bigger one. So we're looking at this now, that's your danger sign, is like how big the amplitude of it is, right? So do we know that this is the last one? You never want to draw that line in the sand, but it is massive compared to all the other ones along the arc. So that's your first danger sign. Ultimately, if it's going to go higher, right, we know how to play this. If it does one of these things where it makes a climax low and it starts to rise and push its way back up and does some shit like, like this, and then dicks off and does one of these things, we know how to play that if it shows itself. But in the meantime, right, it sets a range that you have to fucking deal with at some amount of caution, given the amount of news flow around it. There are fucking like, celebrities by the dozen now talking about it. And it's a lot of the sentiment things that we generally watch for to see if the market might be excessively tilted and, represent a danger. So I thrown a warning that like the market was parabolic. My price level wasn't accurate in OnlyFans on where it could be. And then I threw a grand mal level to watch as a swing level, which is really key with regard to LTC and BTC. And we'll look at that in a second. So Now that this range is set, right, and go back and look at the way this worked out last time, right? It could be this range, right? So if it has to be to work itself up and blow it out again, we'll know how to track that. But if it ends up being this bigger range, and it ultimately makes, like, what ultimately is in a crash cycle, the complacency shoulder, we're going to be able to recognize it by, the weakening rise that it does before it rolls out of that and sets up a possibly lower high here. So we're going to watch for that inside the range, see which way it's going or not, based on what it does in the next, few moments when it develops from this point. So that's pretty much a complete picture of what you want to watch. So right now, this one wave down, is dangerous because it is the biggest one inside of a major parabolic arc since this breakout. With regard to LTC and swing levels around that, this green one's it. So grandma loses her life savings is psychologically a different level than grandma gets a job. It's set at a higher range, and it's set at a higher range on a speculative asset. LTC is the speculative, not that crypto itself is not speculative, but LTC is the more speculative side of BTC, right? Like BTC would be the gold, LTC would be the silver, but the real reality is that LTC really has no real world use case, that anyone cares about. It's kind of just like a sentimental sidekick to BTC. It is where you would put money if you were even more speculative than somebody who wanted to preserve purchasing power inside Bitcoin. So in this world, at the price level that I put it, the psychology of the market at the time I was watching here, you're gas pedaling up through this area at 150. And then on the churn, just things that I'm watching in crypto land and stuff gave me an indication that this was probably the area to really watch as LTC's key swing level. So LTC's real FOMO begins north of grandma loses life savings, which is why it comes through this. The only people getting wrecked are anybody who was crazy enough to buy the speed of this kind of price. So grandma loses her life savings represents a very, very serious psychological level. Grandma gets her job back is basically the end result of grandma losing her life savings. So these two kind of actually work together, but they're not the same grandma. So these are both great swing levels. If you notice, price works really great off of these. So all my levels, have a rationale for why I picked them. There is psychological meaning and volume and behavior tied to these levels. So they always work. So you always keep track of them. They're real good, for swings and stuff like that. And when I put them in BTC too, it doesn't matter which one it is. I don't remember which chart I put it on. Where did I put you at? Grandma. So there's Coinbase Grandma. Make life easy for you. So grandma is always good to pay attention to whenever it shows up in any marketplace. Right now, LTC going through his grandma is dangerous. LTC going through that right now is definitely not a good thing because he is the more speculative side of crypto. This represents the real FOMO that's in the marketplace right now. So pay attention to that. I have a basket here for you. Boop. So once again, crypto is extraordinarily correlated, right? And that's the big danger of this. So this correction is big in lots of places, bigger in some assets even than BTC. But this is a significant down move to pay attention to. These double digits across all the big caps is scary to say the least. And a lot of people got caught off guard by this weekend. But remember, we do want to pay attention to the time of year we're in too, because BTC cycles, for as long as I've been in the marketplace, November, December, and January are really key times of year. I came to the market again in November 2013, and BTC was hauling ass up through the 300s into the climax that ended up in the Mount Gox debacle and came raining down in January and February. Your next really ridiculous cycle, of course, is 17, which climaxed out in December, like when winter, and again came raining down in January again. And now you have this cycle where we're literally fucking going moonshot. BTC loves the holiday, which is what was so funny about that, because it's demonstrated. It's gone fucking apeshit Thanksgiving, December, Christmas, multiple years. It did it again. And now you're in the front end of the new year in this ridiculous spike that has some kind of semblances like, January 2018 when risk assets broadly across the world went risk off. So we want to pay attention to all those things. Ultimately, the stock market is riding on a bunch of liquidity, and so is this marketplace. But the FOMO right now and day trading and all this stuff does give us sentiment warnings coming into the new year. You just want to be cautious and pay attention. So yeah, that's seeming to get worse by the second as we talk about it. But at the end of the day, right? Hopefully you guys pay attention, raise stops, and didn't just sit there blindly into this, and played with good risk management, which we try to talk to you about on the show a lot. So that when things like this happen, you take your gains and you wait to make a new play. You don't have to be in every move that happens. Now that we've got a high volatility move, we have a chance to wait and make a new plan. So that's the best part about volatility, right? High volatility begets low volatility, which begets high volatility. So high volatility is a chance to now pay attention to make a plan, because high volatility involves high emotions, which involves the destruction of lots of people, which sets the stage for us to make a play. All right, that was like a lot. I hate talking that much about nerdy shit. Memos and junk and clips and junk and all that stuff. So, all right. Let's see. Let me catch up on where you guys are. SWBI gun manufacturer 4.5%. My broker TD Ameritrade. Yeah, that's a probably interesting one, right? After what happened in the Capitol and what's been happening ever since Obama set foot in the White House, right? Here's something I paid attention to back in 2013, 14. Let me get this pulled up real quick. So as cool as this mask is, you might notice that whoever designed this thing didn't really fucking think about the fact that human beings have a fucking nose. This thing is ridiculously painful. But it's my best stat stroke. Let's see. All right, where you at? Where you at? All right, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So I've shown you this chart before. But just think about this. This has never stopped since the era of Barack Obama, right? This this is gun violence, incidents by year. Gun sales, gun violence, everything gun, bullet sales literally did this since Obama set foot in office. And it's never ever stopped. If you want to buy bullets around here, you have to be at the store on the right day, because the bullets will sell out on the day they arrive. Guns are fucking like off the shelves everywhere. We have those little gun conventions at the fairgrounds and stuff like that. You could go to the fairgrounds out here and buy a fucking 50 cal like you see in Call of Duty for like 12 grand. It's crazy, but like there is a lot of weapons that have been stockpiled for fucking over a decade in the United States. Like if you think about guns per capita, it's something crazy right now that no one's really given consideration to. But Americans are the most armed they've ever been in the history of the country. The society has more weapons out there than ever before. And you have like one of the worst social climates you've ever seen after, the exodus of Trump. So this creates an interesting situation. So gun manufacturers, let's take a look at that one. That's a good one you brought up. I think somebody brought it before and I forgot to bring that guy up. So let's see. I'm pretty sure this is just a random fuck up and not supposed to be there. Let's see. SWBI. Smith & Wesson. So yeah, we had done this guy before. So, right, this is what we talk about. BTC is going to do one of these massive dumps and recorrect, right? He'll set an initial range, and we can watch for this continuation, or we can watch him to build a staircase back up. So this is the range set. Let's look out at this guy. So yeah, here is that's Obama's election. Obama takes office and fucking guns go crazy. Now we've got the next inauguration. I think that's what we put the next date here for it, and then so Biden will take office right here. So we use the same timing date, right? There is Obama's timing date. and basically fractal Obama is coming back right now. So that's what happened when Democrats took it. And right now, if you think about it, right, the conservatives are really good at stoking fear that liberals are like the danger of the fucking modern world. They're gonna do that again, right? Not that every piece of technology you're using to fucking complain about liberals is made by them, but these inbred pieces of shit. That's what they do. They stoke fear. So this is the climate you're in right now. Um, I think now with this as a bull flag, entering into this point, I think this range becomes way more interesting if we break north side. Let me fix this shitty ass fucking line I drew up here. I think a north side break on this guy becomes way more interesting. Just with what's happened at the Capitol, gun shit is only even crazier in America now than it ever was. And I think a lot of people have worries about their safety with like what you saw up there, with people showing up with zip ties and tactical gear and these fucking crazy militias that have insane fucking equipment that they've stockpiled. I think it's going to lead the rational people's mind to either have the ability to protect yourself or you're at the mercy of motherfuckers like that running around in society. It's only scary. So let's come down to resolution on this. That's just okay. That's not a. All right. So he's 2B that, right? Stop brand the shit out of everybody on that. The next approach is the one you probably care about. So he looked good out of there. God, I suck at those sometimes. Where the heck is it? Not the best bull flag. We should get what I'm doing. So climax spike like that. See how far he sets down. Probably makes another bull flag here, and he rotates up from that. You're looking for whatever he does here. You do another one, and then head that way. That would be probably a pretty bullish setup going into this new presidency. So yeah, I like that. Smith and Wesson. Good for bringing that one. Thank you. God, I can't. My nose is killing me. Alright, this might be the first and last for this mask. This shit hurts like a motherfucker. Hey kids, can you look at the Oracle Resource Company? They have a large copper deposit in Mexico and will be working on the site for the first time in 20 plus years. Could you be a good one to keep a track of? I would never get caught up in too much of the stories. Lots of people like to do that. OCO. Is this Canadian guy? What is this? Is there a US version of this? Nope. Okay. I mean, bruh. So copper's been crazy. We've talked about that, non-precious metals. Small chance you're a little late to this party, coming off of 5 cents and shit. If the market keeps on raging, he's obviously got a pretty good correlation with what's going on in the rest of copper, right? This is your copper ETF, and he's basically tracking this ridiculous wave going on in copper. So copper has been just fucking absolutely flying. And touched on this just briefly, with him going over the highs here and stuff like that. The stock to be pointed at, the flagship of this. A lot of guys chase a lot of penny stocks, and you have to be careful with that. I don't look at too many of those guys down in that range. I try to deal with the more liquid dudes who won't move when you try to put real money into it. We talked about FCX the other day. Right now, this is a pretty ridiculous post out of there. It probably might need some time to chill. It's running ridiculous momentum. Like I said, I tend to stay with leaders of any industry or sector. So we pointed you at this stuff, and non-pressure, we talked about steel. We drew these guys up for you in a couple of shows. Oh my god, I might have to swap masks, guys. I can't take this. This thing hurts like a son of a bitch. Hold on. This thing's fucking me up right now. Mr. Bitcoin's getting retired mid-show. Where the heck is it? Couldn't do it. That was fucking hurting. It's like bad. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah. So these are the guys I was looking at. Like that guy is obviously correlated to the copper move, but I'm not, I'm not gonna really point anybody at like super cheapos like that will move if you put $10 in them. But he's correlated to the move. If copper keeps being ridiculous, non-precious keeps being crazy like it is, there's a good chance that we'll keep posting out with him. But coming out 5 cents to $1.79, looks a little late. Jumia, the Amazon of Africa. Boy, they come back from the grave. They went down to fucking dust, huh? Down to fucking $2. Look like they'd fucking shit themselves. So they're still breathing. It's still good. So this right here, the IPO highs, is pretty much the next thing you want to keep track of. Let's see, do we have any decent volume on this? Yeah, his biggest volume's on that. So the very high he's set now is what we care about. You do all these bull flags that he flagged up through this stuff, and then he collapsed. So right now, alright, remember we were talking about this, he broke out of this range, it's really grindy, bull flagged up. So that was kind of never really like a really powerful push like this wave. You see how ridiculous this wave is? And this was really like kind of a choppy mess rising, and then just cut through like all of these levels that were generated by these flags. So that is pretty good to fuck up a lot of people and make a bigger bull flag. God damn it. So I kind of think that looks a little better, that he's done that move. Fake break, cut back through, has a pretty good structured channel. It looks like he's trying to rotate out of it. So if he's going back here, and you'll watch how he handles interaction on that. And then above that, sustained. That'll look good to go and challenge this. So, whatever kind of structure in here he does, and then hopefully come up here, then do some bullshit again. And then from there, you play him getting the fuck out of Dodge up there. Simple enough, right? Boink. So, something like that. He does that, he look pretty good. So, I think this chart's like overloaded, so I'm not getting to save stuff, so this might disappear. So, I'm going to actually, we have a lot of old historic analysis in this chart, and it's been really good to age these charts. But trading views hit at max of how much shit I can draw, and I can't find enough stuff to delete that they'll just train wreck all their historic stuff. So I'm probably in the next show going to reset, and we're going to just start with a whole new set for 2021, and we'll begin like we did with these that we began before. So never get like crazy about throwing away your historic analysis. Sometimes you can feel like, oh my god, I want to leave everything I ever drew on the chart. The reality is that like price has memory, so the new analysis you do will be reflective of past prices in those areas anyway. So you don't really lose anything as much as you think. And like clockwork, there's my fucking warning that this thing is fucked. So I can't get it to where I can save. So all the stuff we're drawing is gonna disappear this show, which sucks ass. So I'm gonna move to a new chart template and clear all this stuff out. But this one's been fun to age, hasn't it? And that kind of shows you why you want to like age your charts as markets evolve, because it's a living, breathing thing. So you kind of want to move with it, Never get too mentally entangled with your analysis, having to have it be right versus allowing the price to show you where it's going and moving with that. All right, so that's Jumia. Next, Jumia, iClean, please. Yeah, we can do iClean. So iClean is the ETF for clean energy stuff. Can you stop that? So, decent gap down on iClean this morning, 4% down. I think we talked about this in the last show. Somebody asked about it pretty recently, and we talked about these gaps kind of being really dangerous. Like, why the hell did I do that? Stop being crazy, trading view. All right, here we go. Gap here, gap here. Like as you're arcing, just gap to gap, gapping like that. Like it's excessively bigger gaps. The volume is like going completely fucking crazy into this move. It starts to look a little worrisome. So, uh, him gapping back into a gap range right now. This is a formation they call an island top. If it stands like that, like a gap into that area, to gap out of it. Huge volume on the gaps into that area and on the gap out of it. Or just it did the biggest volume in this little isolated region. So this becomes pretty important to pay attention to see how this sets up. He can set up a more violent correction and give you a new range to watch. So with this right now, as parabolic as that is, that does look like it may warrant at least a moment of chill. On this resolution, it's a stick. You see what this has done. This is as crazy as a crypto move. And this is what I was talking about the last show. So many people are caught up in crypto. It's like you do realize applying options to this arc is crypto, right? The returns in that are exactly crypto or better, and it's a straight fucking line. So this right now on the daily, if it opens down there, that's pre-market. I'm not sure if it's gonna open there, but if it opens down there, that would be pretty ugly. He would need to basically recapture this entire range and break the high before I'd be more bullish on that again. So this looks like you might have a short-term top in there if that gap is real where he's at and the market's going to blow off a low risk. And it looks like the market could, because the dollar, is a little bit strong this morning, and you're seeing that ripple across risk assets all over the place. So the VIX again, right, refuses to give up 21. Absolutely fucking refuses. I guess it's heading back to Leon's lunchbox. So, what a fucking level, right? I told you, 21 is the level. It's crazy as fuck, but this thing is the line in the sand, and it does not want to give. So every time we bounce away from there, we see the market have a breath of risk off. And this particular bounce off of 21 has a breath of risk off from stocks to BTC. That shouldn't be ignored either. It's a severe move in BTC, and it's reasonably decent move off the fucking lows on the VIX, and it's reflected in the dollar, and it's reflected in the stock market. When you have broad-based correlation like that, you should always pay a fucking attention, because when deflation is about, it hits everything across the board. It's like water leaving the pool. Every fucking asset will get hit by it. So in major corrections, you will see really ridiculous levels of correlation to risk assets everywhere. That's always a fucking danger sign. So this initial move like this equals at least pay attention. It doesn't mean panic, but it at least means pay the fuck attention. All right, that's the VIX. All right, iClean, where you at? Thank you. Glad you like the mask. Sorry I had to retire it. Spartan Nomics. Nah, that character is actually supposed to have an outfit that goes with it. He was supposed to literally be called Mr. Bitcoin. But the mask never came in time for the show, so I ended up just saying fuck it. We stayed with the white mask. I've just now recently decided to start introducing all my character ideas. Nvidia, interesting. Neo up 11% pre-market. They're producing chips for Neo. So Neo had Neo Day, which is like Tesla Day, battery day or whatever, and they unveiled solid state tech battery and a partnership with Nvidia to produce self-driving competition for Tesla. Batteries that supposedly can get 600 miles on a single charge too, which would be phenomenal competition, and introducing it at a price competitive with the Model S. The thing that's kind of interesting about that is, right, Tesla left Nvidia to produce their own chip. So Neo's getting Tesla's sloppy seconds, for what they saw Nvidia being too slow to move where they wanted to be in the marketplace. So let's look at Nvidia first. So that looks like a pretty good bull flag where we zoomed in right there. Big dump correction, rallied up, and possibly has the floor, the second higher floor, to generate the low to drive it up through the top, right? That's really the worst question mark I've ever drawn. I don't know what's going on, but TradingView is going crazy. Alright, so we'll come down time frame. So you want to see him hold this range right now that he's got. Maybe could dip through it and stop run people right here, possibly. But you're looking for him up at the top of this level. We'll just redraw this now. Or actually, let's just do this. So as much as tech is taking a breather right now with the rotation in the market, it's still, on the macro timescales, relatively the strongest thing out there. So resumption in the semis trend is very likely, and semis are very much going to be a big part of space cash. So I don't expect these guys to lose their leadership, but they are taking a breather at the current moment. And Nvidia has been in this range since September. So really he's just kind of offline while the rest of the market reprices on what he'd been doing. So if he goes back through here, that will look probably pretty bullish longer term. But again, you let the range sort itself out and then just watch for it to get up here. See how its interaction goes, and then above this level, sustained breaks will be a bullish thing. NEO, who's in bed with that, everybody, the speculation is NEO is the Tesla of China. I'm not sure that's something you can say just yet, but it definitely is worth paying attention to what they're doing. First it looked like they had no car and they were a fucking bullshit company. Now they've actually got a product. This car is due for production in 2022. And so just the mention of having solid state battery and something that rivals Tesla specs is enough for these companies' valuations to be just fucking crazy before they have products. That's one thing, it's a bull market when you can see this, right? They're pricing forward a future that no one's sure they can deliver. But nonetheless, we followed this guy up the whole time. And we've shown you the same thing, right? These ranges set just like NVIDIA's, right? Here, rising floor. This is what we're looking for in NVIDIA to do. The same kind of range is what NVIDIA's running. So we're looking for a breakout and sustain your breakout, and then you play him and see what he does. This guy right here, this was a bull flag that we had, and he broke above the bull flag level, and then he's made a huge bull flag, arced out. We looked at this, another bull flag, arced to the highs, and we said on the recent show when somebody asked, pay attention to what he does there, and then as he goes out of that, you probably have a shot to play him. So he went out of that on Friday, and he's up there now. So, and you guys played him, you have a pretty good fucking play on this dude. So he's in trend, right? And this is how you deal with all-time highs, right? If this is what Bitcoin is doing, then we deal with Bitcoin like this. To be on the safe side, at least, for people who don't know how to trade inside a range like this. But it's the same kind of thing, right? This could be the move just before the highs in December 2017, and then the really big dump came. And then still, if it manages to recoil this, then the dump that will happen higher will likely even blow this guy away in amplitude, making the final dump the biggest one of them all. But as you see, right, your corrections basically gain amplitude as you go up in price. And this can kind of fool you because, one, we are on a linear scale, so nominally the dollars are bigger. But it'll look like the most horrendous thing on the chart of all of them along the arc. So if this thing's going again, then this is a huge gap to begin. It needs to sustain that gap when it opens today. But if it keeps pushing from this, then yeah, this leg could be the biggest leg of NEO. So worth paying attention to. The EV FOMO is crazy from here to China. It's only going to get bigger over there. And EVs are clearly here to stay. So let's see. Alright, where we at? Love the nerdy talk. I don't want to do that. It glazes over too many people when I talk about shit like that. The whole point of this show is not to have a conversation above the average person. The fact is that markets going up and down, the only two things it doesn't require you to have a highfalutin conversation to understand up and down. The reality is that every person can understand this. and every person is technically dealing with markets every day of their lives that they deal with people without really realizing it. So we have a conversation from a very common sense standpoint and normal way of speaking, because this is something everybody actually can understand if it's brought down to the language everybody speaks. But I appreciate you. Thanks for the 5K bits in the morning blocks. If the South could sell fried guns, they would. That's pretty funny. So what do you think of alts after BTC tops? Would the usual alt cycle commence? Like I said, it matters that it's not like a significant risk off like 2017 December risk off equals everything in terms of USD getting fucking obliterated. And BTC on the way down honestly was relatively the safer place. The shitcoins, if it's like a full risk off move, the shitcoins would be a fucking extremely dangerous place to be. If BTC sets a range and can hold still, then you might want to pay attention to some stuff and you look at the charts like ETH BTC and stuff like this, right? It's kind of like where you want to look. ETH's been the relatively strongest thing out there. Let's zoom out again. What are you doing? Why is this always out of whack? So watching ETH, right? This is kind of like a lead on your shitcoins. He's obviously your big cap, and we can call him a shitcoin. He's pretty much the only next useful thing out there. But this rising structure is kind of underlying, the trend of at least stronger shitcoins. That there have been some that have had, relatively stronger moves in Bitcoin. This would need to continue. You'd want to see bounces in LTC, BTC too. These guys as they keep on going down. Like I said, he's your speculative second tier alt. Still has that psychological place in the market. And as long as he keeps falling, alts are heavily correlated. They're kind of tracking this behavior relative to BTC. They're just overall pretty weak. Link and stuff like this are still just dying, DeFi tokens and all that stuff. If you were in these guys, you lost money in terms of BTC. So these guys would have to stay some kind of meaningful bounce before you'd really give a shit about fucking shitcoins BTC. And right now, it's a pretty broad-based sell. These are big numbers in the movements. So you probably want to see BTC stabilize before you're going to really think that, you have a chance to do that. We pointed you at, where is it in this list? Did I delete that? Am I blind? I thought that was in there. Yeah. Anon coins can act like a risk off side of crypto. So when crypto, the big cap leaders get really fucking weak, you can see these guys actually gain a certain amount of strength. And so yesterday you kind of saw that, Dash and XMR went fucking haywire, and really it was nothing more than the shittiest part of the market actually catching strength. Dash above all is just straight garbage, But if you saw it yesterday, right, Dash had one of his biggest moves of the fucking year before fucking Armageddon hit the whole market. Not really amounts to an exit pump is what that was. So there's definitely some things moving around the marketplace that warrant a certain degree of caution. This piece of shit catching strength just now is definitely one of those things. There's nothing but graveyards inside this fucking coin. So yeah, I'm paying attention to this pretty closely and then see if, we have to see BTC stabilize before you start to think alt cycle. Because if BTC comes down too fast, you just lose money fucking flat out. It doesn't matter. So that's kind of give some time to see if this stabilizes or if this actually gets worse. Then, the breadth of risk off that we see in the VIX and stocks, could be true across all assets. 1,000 bits for the nerdy talk. All right, I'll do some more nerdy talk then. Is that equates to me showing tits? I can do that. Appreciate the bits, Desmotron and Mert. You guys are funny. What up, Jack Black? I received a level 2 hype train emote. Shout out, respect on the hype train, y'all. I know I'm so far behind the chat. My bad. Fried guns. Berg beer. Appreciate you, sir. Am I caught up here? This thing's stuck. I think this thing's stuck. Oh, my shit just jumped over everything. That's awesome. Shout out Izzy. Always appreciate the 420s in the morning. Appreciate Blocks for giving out some subs for all you guys. So for all of you that you don't have to have a sub to watch this show live. The only people I say that would want a sub is anybody that wants to go back and review the info we have here, because we usually have a lot more info than you can take in a show. So to watch historical shows, you need it. But like again, always remember we don't commit to having to go through a paywall to get here to get to learn stuff. I put everything out that I do publicly, for people to put together themselves. And if you want to study it, then use a sub to look at stuff historically. But there's a lot of stuff per show, so you may find some of this stuff worth rewatching. What is your point of view about investing in companies that kind of promote violence, such as SWBI? SWI doesn't promote violence. They just make a tool that can be used as a weapon. Before entering the market, this is one of the things I had issues with. But the markets do not care, of course, about my opinion. Yeah, that's just nonsense. SWBI doesn't make ads that say go kill people, right? Any more than fucking car companies make ads that say drive this car drunk and run over a family. That's kind of your own biases being conflated with reality. That's just nothing. Don't fucking invest with your feelings. You'll lose. Markets don't give a shit. No one cares what you believe. That's an opinion, yeah. All right. Crypto. Do you think hyperinflation can cause BTC not to have a bear season for years? Hyperinflation is still subject to cycles. Like you can print money like crazy, and you could have this ridiculous disproportionate tilt. I mean, you have to remember what makes up the arc in the price, right? For the price to keep on doing this, somebody has to be basically on the wrong side of that. Everyone who keeps buying in. Ultimately, BTC, you got to remember, is structured to basically do this, to act like a Ponzi, to arc as a deflationary asset in a purely inflationary monetary system. It's designed to do this. If there is any kind of like growth to awareness, then it literally generates an exponential arc in a direct relationship with the amount of people that are entering the system. But that doesn't mean that it's not coming from anywhere, and there isn't anybody who is subject to taking profits at certain points. The price is a behavior ultimately, and there are people who are going to be in positions where they made meaningful gains that will ultimately be in a place in large enough numbers that once they reach where they want to basically unload risk, the market is basically in a tilted enough state that you're going to need the crowd to fuel their exit. So markets will always have cycles. Is BTC a genius product in an inflationary system? Yeah, totally. It's mathematically designed to basically do what it's doing right now. And like something we said a year ago, it'll never behave like less volatile either. As many people as you can shove into it, it'll scale dynamically to basically behave exactly as it did in 2014 when it was $300 a coin. It'll always be fucking insanely volatile the way it is. You'll never get control of this thing. But do I think that you can avoid a cycle and quote unquote it's different this time? No, markets are if anything just fractal representations of other systems in the universe, and all systems are subject to crash cycles. The mini crash cycle of Jimmy, okay. What is that? Create a secondary TV account even on a premium? I don't know what that means. What indicator am I using to get the bars on the right? That is called the VPVR. So I don't know if you're on. You need to have like a premium account, I think, to have volume tools, but it's up here in. I don't try to indicate as much, but here in volume profile right here, right? This visible range. I guess they don't call it VPVR, but the visible range just means whatever's on the screen. So it calculates the volume at price of whatever is on the screen if you use visible range. This down here is your volume at time, vertical time increment. This is at price. So it's just the same thing down here aggregated at a price level. Okay. See, Mal's got you there. So yeah, he can help you with that. It's a good indicator. It's the only other one I really use. So like in your moving average or volume, and volume is just two dimensions, right? Looking at it price and time. It's not different either. Just because you don't have like the one on the side doesn't mean you're actually lacking it, right? All this guy does at this range is show you everything that traded, you know, at this price. So all the time price traded through here, how much volume it did. So this is the highest amount of volume traded. So this is your key level, right? This is your point of control, which is what this dotted line is. The highest volume traded at this price as it traded through this range. You can see it though, right? You can see this assload of volume done in this range here. This run of a huge bar of volume pushed right through this range here. And then, a bit of a churn in all these shock waves here, low level churn, which adds up. All this sideways volume adds up over time to create the range. So it's not showing you something additional that's not already there. It's just a different representation of the same volume on the horizontal axis. All right. They seem very helpful for TA. Oh yeah, just let you know what it is. Yeah, you know what? We'll call it that. Izzy VIX's 21 level will be the chastity belt. I like that. We're using that. Forever 21. Can I check out INAQ? INAQ. INAQ. What is this? Insu Acquisition Corp. Financial conglomerate. Wow, that guy looks pretty new. So don't know what this guy is, but probably worth digging into. It's an IPO that's had a pretty interesting start in December. Well, he doesn't have a lot of price data, but what we can see is like I said, this opening level is kind of interesting to watch. And he flagged through it. That's like, for what little data we have, that as much looks pretty good. So he needs to just stay over what he's done now, but I kind of like something to have a little bit more price issue before we stick it on the show and talk about it. And I have no idea what he's about or anything. But technically speaking, that's what you want to see right now up top. You don't want to see him fail his breakout of the bull flag either. So you want to sustain that breakout. So he's gapping down a little bit. It's either 2B, needs more time to correct. At least stay over here, go out again, and play on the leave of the structure when he comes back up above it and sustains it. But yeah, give me something with more than like 3 days of history, bro. What you doing? TSM earnings on Thursday too. Good shout out on that. Make sure you guys pay attention to that. With us talking about semiconductors, TSM is a fucking runaway freight train in semis. But right, so 3 days to say Tuesday. You said when is it? Thursday. So aftermarket Thursday on the 14th. Always be aware of earnings dates. Don't get caught by surprise by this. This motherfucker's been crazy while Nvidia's been doing really dog shit. Taiwan semis been crazy, and he, like you said, acts like a risk-off side of semis. He's strong generally when most of semis aren't that strong, and he's been like on a fucking tear. So good to kind of see where his earnings lie. Ether, didn't I look at Ether already? I thought I looked at ETH. I'm pretty sure I looked at ETH. Where is ETH? No, I didn't look at ETH. Okay, yeah, you're right. All right, so ETH. So, did I have any other exchanges I did ETH on? I think I only drew them up on this. So, our big concern, right? He blew up. We talked about where ETH needed to be regarding the previous high of the last cycle in 2017, right? We said that ETH was should have been north of 1,000, 1,200 to make sense of BTC at 20,000. So he just did that. He did the catch-up move we talked about down here. He should play catch-up on BTC, and then he gave a good structure at 600s. So now he's done this. We probably want to look a little bit more into the historical price to kind of get specific idea of if that was it. And this is a thing. BTC is in no man's land. So having a technical level of where danger lies is pretty difficult because he's fucking nowhere. But you can proxy a lot of levels from other assets, which you see me do with LTC Grandma and such. And you can do the same thing with ETH. He really is the next most has the next most attention in the crypto market space right now. So, see why I call the show Mr. Bitcoin? We're a little crypto focused. So let's look at where he's at. Ultimately, what are the biggest levels we have from historical ETH? This is Finex ETH, by the way. And always be aware, I do price levels on different exchanges, but generally you want your exchange to have good volume behind it. You don't want it to be like a dead exchange. So this is the wave down as ETH collapsed in his crash cycle, right? Pretty easy to see. and we look at what he's interacted with, right? So this was ultimately like, we generally like to watch this, like we did with the VIX. This high to this high is really the danger zone if he stalls inside of that. Okay. You fucking go back to present time. And that's what he stalled on, like the second high that led to the fucking crash itself. So, like I said, this is a significant area to watch. This parabolic is literally crazy as fuck. So pullback is dangerous. The high he hit is pretty dangerous. I was able to take some exits up there. I don't know that it's Armageddon, but it's kind of in an area and a timing of the year that I thought was dangerous. And like I said, I thrown a warning out for the parabolic move we're in and OnlyFans. It did eclipse my idea of like, the area in BTC. But the grandma swing level, I think, is something you keep an eye on LTC as a warning to the entire, big cap crypto space. So literally since we've been on the show, things have just been getting fucking like decimated. Yeah, so the gas is pretty hard in this, so I definitely pay attention to it. You guys remember what happens to grandma when shit goes off this fucking ledge, right? Grandma breaks her fucking legs, so yeah, definitely pay attention to this. BTC. So with regard to what, Ivy? Yeah. It's pretty dangerous. So all eyes on grandma. Alright, that's ETH. TSM earnings Thursday. Thoughts on WWR chart. How much time do I have? Oh shit, it's 9:06. Damn, you guys are letting me go right into the opening bell with that, huh? Looks like I ran out of time, guys. Cross, appreciate the bids. Berg Beer, all you dudes who sling coins for the nudity, we appreciate you. I think I got most of your fucking questions, didn't I? Alright, I'll just do WWR. You look like you're the last dude in there. Oh no, and I saw a guy say light. What's light? Lumitum Holdings, electrical products manufacturer. Alright, I gotta be quick. Looks bullish. Analysis over. No, I'm kidding. Alright. So there's that climax high, right? We see big climaxes, humongous pullbacks. Doesn't mean it's the end. We just want to see him structure rising floors and push its way the fuck back out like this guy did. That looks good in that time frame. He's up through there. Did one structure down here. Didn't even really do much. Sustained it and pushed. So he's in trend now. You need him to kind of give you another like location to kind of play into this. I hate that this is all yellow, but I'm in a rush. So this is arcing out right now. He needs to slow down again. Like you see like stuff like this. You always want to be careful because the next leg out could lead you to something like that, right? So you want to make another area and then give you something to follow out of that. So he needs to slow the fuck down. But he looks bullish on a really high resolution of time, so he likely present another opportunity. And then WWR, Westwater Resources. What are you? Non-energy mineral, other metal and minerals. $5. This looks like a pile of shit. What a fucking spike. Jesus. Okay. Holy Christ. What do you guys give me? Alright. What part of playing the trend don't you guys understand? What is this? Did your grandfather lose his life savings in this? Why do you know about this stock? Jesus fucking Christ. Alright. Hashtag no. That's my analysis for this. Stay away from stuff like that. A ton of stuff for graphite. Maybe he's not the leader in the space. I don't know. But just for shits and giggles, bro. Holy fucking crap. So the volume spec's pretty good. The sustained volume for the year is not the greatest, but it is higher than anything in history. That's the only reason you keep him on your radar. Huge gap and dump. Is this a comeback story? This thing is in the grave. You're putting me in a really odd spot with this thing. So if you had to look at him on a technical basis, yeah, I'll do it for you. It was pretty funny you picked this thing. Right, that's the range on the bottom. He has no real volume in that. Nothing. The entire range he's setting now is what matters. If he sets a range of volume above this, like right here, in this zone, then that's pretty much above that you care. So this area matters more. Him above this, completely above that, above 790. What is that? 790? 766. Only above that. But this thing looks like shit. Stay away from bottom fishing crap like that. Find a leader in the space. Alright. That was that. That was funny. So that was a lot. Lots of to pay attention to. Like I said with crypto, right? Don't take your eyes off that. The move is significant. The area they're coming off is significant. The swing level for LTC is worth paying attention to. The area you just saw, how precisely off the second high of 2017 Ether corrected off of. So we either set a range and work our way back up, or we structure out for a downtrend from here and the correction gets bigger. Either way, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. We play it up, we play it down. Who gives a fuck what it is? So stay objective. Stay safe. Until the next one, I'll catch you guys. This has been the Real Nomics, Mr. Bitcoin. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.
Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready, bitches. Winternomics. Welcome